Hello, podcast family. Hope you guys are having a great day. I'm coming to you with a brand new episode, and this one is something that I've been wanting to put together for a good long while. Today's episode is all about transitioning from design school to landing your dream job in the creative industry. Now, I understand that over the last few months, especially if you're listening to this as a freshly minted design graduate, that things have been kind of crazy out there. The job market is in an influx. There's so many new designers coming in. And so there's probably a lot of different things, that you're dealing with and you're struggling with, and you need a little bit of help in finding how to go about finding a job or finding your dream job in particular. So before we dive into the tips, let me emphasize that finding your ideal dream job won't be a walk in the park, unless you've put in some significant, amount of groundwork while you're still a student. It's not just about building an impressive portfolio. It's also about building a network of connections that can support you on your quest for that one job to rule them all. Cue the Lord of the Rings reference there. But in this episode, I'm going to share with you 5 invaluable tips plus a bonus tip that are specifically designed to help you secure your dream job or any job in the creative space. The one thing that you may have to understand is that your first job may not necessarily be your dream job. Though you might think that in the beginning, you'll probably share that with a lot of people that oh, I found my dream job. Great. I can't wait to get started. It's not always going to be that case. And that's perfectly all right. You have to just kind of, come to that conclusion yourself, so to speak. It's all about gaining the experience and building your career foundations. So without further ado, let's jump into the first tip that can greatly enhance your chances of getting hired straight out of design school. All right, so tip number 1, and if you've listened to the podcast, over the last few years, you'll know this tip. I've probably shared it multiple times. I've shared it on YouTube and everywhere else, and that is network, network, network. Networking is an absolute game changer when it comes to job hunting in the creative industry. It's not just about mindlessly applying to every single job posting on LinkedIn and Dribbble and everything like that. And Dribbble is actually still a thing. A quick callback to episode 23 where I kind of talk about the downfall of Dribbble. Dribbble is still there. There's job opportunities on there. Go check them out if you guys haven't. But you need to put in the legwork and go beyond the digital realm to make genuine connections. Attending in-person events, like conferences, mixers, AIGA events, for those of you who have an AIGA chapter near you, and other types of gatherings like that can really help you meet your fellow creatives and professionals who you may not have met otherwise. All of these connections, can really help you. However, I understand that not everyone feels comfortable in these types of situations. I personally had and kind of still do have crippling social anxiety. And it took a long time for me to kind of get over that. And so I know, especially for those of you who are younger creatives, who are design students, anxiety can definitely be a heavy toll. And so sometimes, though, you have to push past it. In the case that, unfortunately, you can't get past it, maybe, you're not ready just yet, don't worry. There are plenty of online events, discussions, Slack groups, Facebook groups, Discord servers, and things like that you can engage with like-minded creatives and expand your network. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there, whether you can go in person or if you have to stay strictly online. When I was still in college, which I graduated college 10 years ago in last May, and, I started building my network by following designers and agencies near me on social media, on Twitter. I was very big on Twitter even back then. And this allowed me to develop a virtual friendship with multiple people, including my future boss after I graduated college. And so additionally, I went through and I attended different events, different mixers. I put artwork in gallery shows and things like that. But probably one of the biggest things that helped me was when I attended Creative South. And you've probably also, this is another thing that I've talked about a lot on the podcast, social media, YouTube, and everything like that, is how pinnacle Creative South was for me being able to get my first job out of college, to become the creative professional I am today. And so I always harken back, go to design conferences like this, go to Creative South, go to Circles Conference, go to Creative Works, go to CropCon, go to the Figma conference that's happening this week as I'm recording this, go to Adobe Max and the Figma Config conference. Those are free online. You don't have to actually go and pay money for a ticket or airfare. You can attend those conferences online for free, where you can get a ton of great value and a ton of great resources on top of the whole networking thing. But the important thing is, remember, it's the combination of networking activities and sharing your journey online that can really open the doors leading to, your first job opportunities after graduation. And we're actually going to talk about that in tip number 2, which is show your passion and be proactive. I could have just said here, show your passion, but being proactive in the way that you share or show your passion is very important. As soon as you step out of college, you're on your own. You might still have some help from professors and some family members and things like that, but the next steps are entirely up to you. With thousands, tens of thousands of freshly minted creative professionals out there vying for these same jobs, it's crucial that you set yourself apart from the crowd and showcase your true potential. One way to do this is being proactive in the creative community. Demonstrating your passion, showing what you're working on, let the fire in your belly, for your chosen creative discipline, burn as bright as possible for the world to see. Don't be afraid to share stuff, even if it's in progress. That's the best type of work to be sharing, is those in progress pieces. Those are the things that people are going to really resonate with and they're going to want to see more of. So just share as much as you can without, being too spammy or things like that. When hiring creative talent, employers are often most impressed by someone's genuine passion about their work than the actual work itself. So when you're sharing this, when you're sharing the things that you're passionately creating in the background while you're trying to find that job, you're showing them wow, this person is a go-getter. They are really trying to, achieve things. So to achieve, this focus or this attention by, recruiters and agencies who are trying to find talent, you need to be proactively learning, creating, and sharing your passion. Don't keep it hidden. Let the world know what excites you. During my own job search back in 2013, when I was looking for my first job, I spent days upon days applying for positions, learning new skills, and creating new designs, sharing my progress online the entire time. My Twitter was full of badges and things like that. I was using Treehouse, which I believe is no longer a thing, to learn HTML and CSS coding. I felt like that was a hard skill that I really needed to learn. And so it was something that I was sharing, I just finished up this part of the course and I got this cool merit badge for doing it. And you'll be amazed at, what resonates with people and what people see. Through the frequent tweets and updates, I showcased, my dedication to continuously improving, my skill set, what was in my repertoire and everything like that. And in doing so, it grabbed the attention of my future employer. By being proactive and passionate, you too can demonstrate that you're not just, another candidate. You're not just one of those nameless thousands of people who are out there searching for jobs right now, who are both, freshly minted out of design school, but also freshly minted on, after being laid off. So you need to stand above the rest and you need to showcase your passion, Be someone who is enthusiastic, who is hardworking, and dedicated to their craft. All right, number 3, enhance soft skills. Now, while most of you focus on building up your hard skills, like being proficient in design software and learning how to illustrate, learning like coding, like I just mentioned in the previous tip and everything, my own personal story, the biggest thing that is critically overlooked by students and young designers is the significance of soft skills. Employers seek individuals who can excel not only at the technical aspects, but also at problem solving, communication, collaboration, and things like that. During the time that I was building a marketing design team at one of my previous employers, one of the things that we often focused on when selecting candidates to move forward to the next round, or even for the actual hire itself, was their soft skills. Specifically, things like communication, which was very big for us. Other things like creative problem solving, the ability to communicate effectively with stakeholders. That was actually a really big one too, that a lot of people, especially junior designers, young designers, they're very nervous about communicating to stakeholders or talking to someone who has authority. And so that is very, very valuable. But, also the thing too is just being a valuable team member, with these key attributes. Someone who can collaborate with other creatives, other designers, who isn't just going to, let their ego drive them. And especially in younger designers, ego can definitely be a detrimental part of the way that you work. I experienced it. Almost every single other designer out there, no matter what they say, they experienced it too. It's natural. So don't feel bad if you have that happening now. You just have to get over it. There is no ego when it comes to working in a team environment, especially in your first job or every job moving forward. But if you feel that your soft skills need improvement, don't fret. Don't worry about it. There are numerous resources available, such as YouTube videos, courses, and books that can help you develop and strengthen these essential skills. Utilize them and demonstrate your commitment to personal and professional growth during your interviews. If you have something that you're lacking, don't say that you are good at it, or don't say that you already know how to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't know how to do Y, then tell them that you don't know how to do Y, but show them that you are reading a book or you're currently working through a course right now so that you can better your skill set at Y. I don't know why I said Y, but who knows? But, another quick example with that is when I was a junior designer, one of my biggest issues was my social anxiety, my crippling social anxiety. I was very nervous to talk to people. Even though I was pushing myself at conferences and things like that, I still had this, hard time like talking to people or making friends or things like that. And so I remember early on, I read this book on how to make friends and influence people by Dale Carnegie. I have since reread that book probably 3 or 4 times. It's a book that I constantly give to people, especially young designers who are struggling with similar things. And so I definitely highly recommend that you check it out, that you look for resources similar to it that can help you enhance your soft skills. And now tip number 4 is polishing up your online presence. Nowadays, your online presence plays a significant role in your job search. Employers and recruiters are actively exploring your social media accounts to gain a deeper understanding of your personal brand beyond just your portfolio. They want to know who you are. And so it's crucial to curate your online persona to make positive and professional impressions. So basically, take the time to clean up your social media profiles, remove or hide any posts that might not reflect, your desired image, or could even be seen as unprofessional. Update your bios and LinkedIn profile to indicate that you're now a college graduate. Yay, you're done. You have mounting, amounts of debt, and now you need a job. Update, those bios and that profile, so that they see that you're seeking these new opportunities. Include in those any relevant, information and skills, but also ensure that your website is linked up to all of these social profiles. That way you don't have to let them, guessing and trying to find you on social media, especially if you have multiple Instagram accounts or multiple Twitter accounts. If you go through and say, okay, here's my Twitter, here's my Instagram, here's my LinkedIn, it's quick and easy. They can go through there, they can find those. If they have to search for you and then they see that there's 3 Instagram accounts and this one right here has some very unprofessional things on it, you don't want that to happen. You want to keep it nice and targeted. Additionally, though, make sure that your website showcases the work that you are truly proud of and passionate about. Focus on quality rather than quantity. Highlight the projects that have the most impact and represents your skills and interests. You don't want to be sharing stuff that was in your senior portfolio that you were made to create, that you hated, that you weren't passionate about. That's what we want to stay away from that. Remember tip number 2 about passion, right? You want to show what you're passionate about. If you have holes in your portfolio and you need to fill them, start a self-initiated project. Share that on social media. Share that on Twitter. That you're building this out, and they can go back and they can find that when they look at your social profile. So, try and tweak things and fix things. It's never too late. It's never there's never like a moment where you can't go back and fix things like that. During my final year of college, I went through and audited every single one of my social channels, removing content that didn't really fit my goals or my ambitions or anything like that. And instead, I filled my platforms with work I was generally passionate about. I created a cohesive and impressive online presence, so that potential employers and recruiters can get a sense about my passion, what I'm enthusiastic about, and they can really see what shines, in my portfolio. And for those of you out there who are listening to this who have not graduated yet, you can still do this. You can still go through and update your social presence, update your website. You can still go in and network. Go back to, tip number 1, go back and network. You can still go back and share your passions. Number 2, you can do all of these things. And especially you can go back to tip number 3, which is enhancing your soft skills. So if you haven't graduated yet, perfect. Go through and follow all of these tips. You will not regret it. This will help you in the long run. Don't be one of those people who has to catch up at the last minute, like some of the people who are listening to this podcast episode. Don't worry, I'm not knocking you. I'm just offering advice for those who haven't gotten to your point just yet. All right. And finally, the last tip here before we jump into the bonus tip is staying flexible. This is something that a lot of people, a lot of content creators, really talk about, go for a niche, go for, specific skill sets, only do that and everything. When you're just starting out, you can't do that. You have to be flexible. When you're starting your career in the creative field, it's common to encounter, projects that may not align with your immediate preferences or interests, and it's essential to remain flexible and open to working on diverse tasks, especially with that first job out of school. There are going to be times where you're sitting there like, oh my God, I spent 4 years in design school and I'm currently going through and auditing a spreadsheet with 2,000 individual key points. It's going to happen. Even to this day, I still am doing stuff like that. And I've been, a 10-year graduate of college and been working in the design field for 15, 20 years by now. And so it's like, you still will have to do that. But, also let me clarify something here, that I'm not suggesting that you accept any undesirable opportunity or an undesirable job that comes your way. If there's a job that comes your way and you're like, I'm not really happy about this. I'm not enthusiastic about this. It's not what I want. It's not the industry that I want to do. The money is okay. Like, if you're having any doubts, share it with someone else, get their thoughts on it, but don't think that you have to take it. Don't think that you have to take every single job or the first job that comes your way. However, being open to stepping outside of your comfort zone and working on projects, not working at a job, but working on projects at a job that are outside of your usual scope, can be beneficial. You never know what you'll actually learn by doing that. Let's say that you're a branding designer and you normally do nothing but logos, but your boss comes to you like, hey, I want you to try this. I want you to design for me a landing page. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, I have never designed a landing page in my life. I have no idea how to do this. I don't want to do this. No, I'm quitting today. For one thing, you're not going to say that. No one's going to actually do that. You might think it in your head, but you'll never verbally say that. But the thing is to not worry. Embrace these opportunities, for growth and learning. You might find that you don't want to do branding anymore after that landing page. You're like, oh my God, I love web design. This is so much cooler than creating 50 logos in a day. I have done that as in a first job, so be prepared for that. But you might find that you love doing something more, or you'll learn new hard skills by doing that. I can personally, attest to the impact of being flexible when it comes to your career, when it comes to the types of work that you do, with your day job. When I began working at a startup in 2021 as their lead designer for the marketing team, the same, team that I helped build, bring on new designers and things like that. My initial focus was expanding their brand system. They had gone through a rebranding and they needed a lot of help to just like expand, what they were given by the design agency, which is a common practice. And it's something that I myself am trying to work on, finding the right solution for those types of clients. However, I also took on various marketing design requests, even the small little ones and everything like that. And so instead of focusing on the expansion of the brand system, I was instead creating, 50 ad designs, blog headers, and things like that for, the marketing team for the main startup that I worked for, but then also their child brand as well. And so there's a lot of different things that was going on that wasn't originally part of the scope of my work. However, the willingness for me to adapt and to work on these different projects impressed my employers, leading to me actually being given, a full-time position with the company. At the time, I was just a contractor. And so by doing that, by being flexible, I was able to get a job, but also get paid the most I was ever getting paid yearly at a job. But the willingness for me to adapt and to work on these different projects and be open to that, it really impressed my employers. It really, helped them decide to take me from being a contractor, which that's what I was doing at the time, from being a contractor and a freelancer to then offering me a full-time position at the company, making, I'll be honest with you, 6 figures. And that was amazing to me. I had never hit that point in my career. And so because I was flexible, I was able to do that. So remember, staying flexible can open doors to unforeseen opportunities, and help you establish yourself in the industry. So just be open to that. All right, and so now we've gone through this 5. Let's go actually quick, before we get into the bonus tip, let's go through here and let's recap those 5 tips. Tip number 1 is network, network, network. Tip number 2 is to show your passion and be proactive. Tip number 3, enhance your soft skills. Tip number 4 is polishing up your online presence. And tip number 5 is stay flexible. All right, the bonus tip that I've been promising this entire video is interview professionals and seek advice. And this is something that you can do at any level of your career, whether you are a early design student, whether you are an amateur designer, whether you're even a senior level designer. You can go through and do this tip. I highly recommend reaching out to professionals and seeking their advice. During my college tenure, I spent countless nights sending out emails, DMs to creative professionals whose work I admired. Now, most of these were illustrators because that's what the type of work that I wanted to do, at the time. And so what I would do is, I would let them know, like, number one, I admire your work. I love your work. I love this specific piece here. And I'll even link to it and everything like that. And I would ask them questions and basically seek guidance from them. I basically had a script that I would send out as a template email and everything like that. And while not everybody responded, I had about maybe like a 20 to 30% response rate, which is pretty good. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. But these interactions allowed me to gather information and insights that I couldn't have found elsewhere. More importantly, I had the opportunity to engage with real life creative professionals who at one point were in my shoes. That's the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that all of these designers, illustrators, and any other creatives out there, at one point, they were all students, of some capacity, whether they went to college or not. They were at some point students, and sometimes they still are. I still am. I'm still always learning. I'm always improving my skill set, improving what I'm doing. And that's the mark of a good designer, in my opinion. But they were all at one point in your shoes right now. This type of connection and mentorship was not actively promoted at my university. Some universities are. I know plenty of professors out there who actively do this, who actively find mentorship opportunities for his students and everything like that. But my university, unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but this was hugely instrumental in my growth as a creative, as a designer. So if you're open to it, open to sending out cold emails and DMs, take some time to craft thoughtful questions for professionals in your chosen career path. Politely ask them for a few minutes of their time to answer the questions and perhaps share additional words of wisdom. Don't underestimate, the power of seeking advice from those, who have already walked the path that you're trying to go on, that you're trying to walk yourself. You'd be surprised at the caliber of people who will respond to you. Sometimes they will just share like a couple little things here and there or whatever, but sometimes they will share a great bit of information. And there you have it. Those are the 5 essential tips plus a bonus tip, to help you navigate the transition from design school to full-time professional to finding your dream job, if that's what you find. Just remember that finding that perfect job may not happen overnight. It may be a process, but with determination, with hard work and the right strategies, you can carve out a successful career in the creative industry. So if you enjoyed this episode and found the tips hopefully valuable, be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you get your podcasting fix, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at The Design Break. Stay tuned for more exciting discussions and insights into the world of design and creativity. Keep chasing your dreams and harnessing your creativity. And as always, remember to stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. Until next time, everybody, I hope you have a great day. And that's it for me. Bye.